yeah, I could do that. I haven't thought of it that way. Okay, I can manage these food cravings in a different way. Okay, so that's the whole point of this. I have done a ton of studying on how the brain works. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I promise I'll make it super easy to digest and understand. Okay, show of hands. Does anybody have cravings? Okay, what about who's a salty person? I'm a salty person, I would say. Sweets?
Mm-hmm.
Is that baby making you crave some sweets?
Yeah, but I was craving
Beforehand. Okay, so we had more sweets than salty. I would say that's probably typical. But does anybody have a favorite craving they want to share?
right now. It's peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly. That's really good. Did you eat that as a kid? Yeah. There's something to be said about things that we had when we were little and that are kind of just like stuck in our brain as delicious and we still want. So, okay, yeah, so I'm definitely a salty person, you know, like margarita, chip, salsa, that would be maybe where my brain would go. I'm just gonna be honest. So, so yeah, we have these cravings and today I'm gonna explain to you why. So a couple things you can do about them. Just to introduce myself, I'm Erin Darling, the nutrition specialist here. I have a master's in nutrition and human performance from Logan, the chiropractic college. They also have nutrition there. So I also have a master's in education. So I've gone to college 3 times, and I used to be a teacher. So I taught 7 years art. So I was an art person my whole life. So then going back to school and doing a degree in science was really hard at first. I mean, by the end of the first week, I was just totally gonna quit. But I didn't, and I made it through. So I've been married we'll be married 13 years in September. I have 2 daughters. One's 9 in 3rd grade, her name's Lucy. And I have 5 and a half, the half is important, 5-and-a-half-year-old in kindergarten. She's finishing up her first year in kindergarten. So I am very passionate about health. I have been since I was little, once I kind of figured it out. I'm going to show you a picture of me when I was little next. But I was good at art, and you know, those of you that have kids, parents are always saying, you know, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this when you grow up, because you're really good at it. So that's what I would hear. You're like, you can draw well, so you should be an art teacher, So what did I do? I was an art teacher. I left teaching, I became a stay-at-home mom, and went back to school, and really, honestly, this is really where my heart is. I also love talking. I'm very talkative. You have a talkative daughter, don't you? I'm very talkative, so please interject, raise your hand, or just talk. I want this to be informal. I want you to learn something. I really do like being active. I'm one of those people. I like exercising. I get up at 5 a.m. every day and go. It makes me feel good. It's just a positive thing in my life. And I also I love a good cocktail. I already mentioned margarita. So you gotta have balance in your life. So I like that too, and especially the cocktail with the talking. Really good. Hi, come on in, find a seat. Okay. So I'm gonna kind of give you just a little bit of backstory about cravings for me. So this is little Erin. I was trying to figure out how old I was. I think I was probably 9 or 10, my daughter's age. So as a kid, I really loved to eat a lot. I have an older brother that has spina bifida, which means he's in a wheelchair, and so we weren't really an active family. I have a good family, loving family, wonderful parents, but it's not like we were going to go and take a hike or anything. So what we did was we ate. We went out to dinner. We were really good at that. So we went out to dinner all the time, and it got to the point where that was my entertainment. Okay, I was an artist, so I could draw and I could eat, and those were my 2 things, and talk. So it became my comfort, it became my escape, it was my friend. I had a lot of cravings, and just like I said with your peanut butter and jelly, those were feelings and things that I created young. So sometimes these thought patterns we create when we're little very hard to break later in life. They stick with us. So that was something that was very hardwired in my brain. Having food as like my comfort was very hardwired for a long time. And it wasn't until I was about 25 and I was married and I thought, God's gonna give me girls. Like, I just know I'm gonna have girls. And I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure out why I crave this. I gotta figure out what to do about this. I gotta figure out how to be healthier. And I had girls. And I knew I was going to, and before that I kind of started putting things in motion, figuring things out, figuring out how to be healthier. And so I'm going to explain tonight some of the stuff that I do, some of the things that I've learned over the years. So, as a kid, these were the thoughts in my head. And I don't know if these can be in your head, but sometimes we have these thoughts when it comes to cravings. Cravings, frustrated, unhappy, unmotivated, hopeless, insecure, that you're weak, you can't do it. Sometimes you feel like you're in a fog, or angry, or helpless, or tired, or hooked. Does anybody ever have any of those words go through their heads? Okay? So these words obviously don't make us feel anything good, right? These are not positive words. This was the running tape recorder in my head for many, many, many years. So because of these words, we just kind of start to develop these negative feelings, and we feel like when it comes to cravings and foods, we really don't have any willpower, okay? So we're going to talk about that today and how, I guess we can say willpower is a real thing, kind of, sort of, but we're going to just go deeper than that and talk about the fact that these feelings that you feel are not your fault, okay? That's the first thing that you need to realize. When you have a craving or a desire to eat something, it is not your fault. Everybody else experiences it as well, and this is how we are physiologically hardwired to feel, okay? So we were set up this way, unfortunately, okay? So we have to learn ways that we can work around being set up this way. Okay, so let me explain this. This is how, like I said, we are hardwired, okay? So the first point is, we are busy people. Who's busy? Is anybody busy? We're busy, okay? We take care of ourselves, we take care of other people. Most of us probably have smartphones. People can text you whenever they want, and they expect you to respond immediately, right? You get emails, you're expected to respond to that. You get, phone calls. You can video chat with people. It's constant. You're constantly getting an influx of busyness, okay? So what does that cause? It causes stress, okay? One of the biggest things I see with people that come in when I ask, 0 to 10, what is your stress? Most of them are around a 10, okay? We are stressed in our life because there are a lot of demands on our life, okay? Everything has to be perfect and everything's out there for everybody to see, and it causes stress. Okay, so here's where the cravings start to come in. Okay? When you feel stressed, your brain gets a signal. Okay? Your brain feels that something bad is going to happen. It doesn't know what's going to happen, but it thinks something's bad. Something bad is going to happen. Your brain doesn't know that you're just sitting in traffic or that you're running late. Your brain hasn't evolved to the point to know exactly what that is. So in the case of your brain may think that you're getting ready to be chased by a bear, okay? When really you're just sitting in traffic. Nothing is life-threatening, but your brain thinks, oh my gosh, something's happening really bad, okay? So when that happens, your body starts pumping out cortisol. Does anybody know what cortisol is?
A hormone of some sort.
Yes. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and it's made by your adrenal glands, if you've heard of the word adrenaline, okay? Cortisol is great in some ways because it is higher in the morning, and it gets you out of bed in the morning, and it gets you going. Otherwise, you would just lay there all day. So that's great. It serves a purpose, but when there's too much of it, it starts to kind of play havoc on your body, okay? So you're stressed. There's a bear chasing you. body's pumping cortisol, okay, because you have to move. So what happens next? You need quick energy, okay? You have a bear chasing you and you have to move and you need quick energy, okay? What is the quickest form of energy? Does anybody know? Yeah, sugar. Something that's going to digest really fast, okay? So I put something for our sweet people and something for our salty people. I know these are different things, donut versus chips, but I will tell you, whether it's a cookie or a piece of bread, all of it breaks down exactly the same. Breaks down to a simple sugar, it's absorbed very quickly, and you get really quick energy. Those kinds of foods will give you really quick energy. They will spike everything up really high, and then you will come crashing down. But physiologically, your body thinks that's what it needs, because it's got to run from the bear. Okay? Also, it has shut down any willpower you have. So if you had some sort of desire to go to El Magwe and get the salad, but you had a really stressful day and you sit down, you're like, forget that, I'm gonna get the nachos, okay? So that's kind of what happens in that situation. So when you eat the sugary donut, because your brain has told you you're stressed and you need the energy, what do you think would happen the next time you're stressed?
You're gonna do it again.
You're gonna do it again. You've created a pattern, okay? Our brains love patterns and they love things to be consistent, and our brain really likes things to be easy. It's a lot easier to go for that quick energy than it is to stop and wait. So the next time that happens again, you're right. You're gonna go for more, okay? You crave more, okay? My poor mom, she loves sugar so much, and I tell her this all the time, Mom, the more you eat sugar, the more you eat sugar, okay? It's feeding it. Does anybody else know what is released when you eat sugar and flour?
Endorphins.
Yeah, dopamine, endorphins, happy feelings, happy neurotransmitters are released, things that make you feel really, really good. So your brain is like so excited about that. You got some quick energy, you're happy, okay? And now you've created like a little bit of a pattern for yourself, okay? You guys with me so far? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now you're probably like, well, what the heck do I do about that? This is depressing. Okay, so what you can do about this is start thinking with the right part of your head, okay? So we've probably, raise your hand if you've heard of people being like right-brained and left-brained. Okay, so that's, if you relate, I used to be an art teacher, and so I have heard my whole life that I'm very right-brained. That's all I heard from my parents. They like to do that. They like to put you in your little category. So I'm like, great, I'm right-brained, great. So we also have other parts of our brain. So we have the front of our brain, which is our prefrontal cortex, but we're gonna just call that our thinking brain. And then we have this lower part of our brain that's kind of like our non-thinking brain, our primal brain. We use our thinking brain when we're learning a new skill, focusing on a new task, learning a new habit. Primal brain is something that you don't have to think about. Have you ever driven to work and then you're like, I don't remember driving to work once you got there? Because that's part of your primal brain. That's part of your non-thinking brain. You're using your brain, but it's automatic. You don't have to think about it. So that part of your brain kind of takes over. When you have a craving, when cortisol comes in, the primal brain becomes in charge. So we have to work on ways to access the thinking brain. Okay? So in our description, we're going to give you 3 key takeaways. So this is your first takeaway. Using your thinking brain to decide ahead of time, making a commitment to yourself. Don't wait until you're faced with temptation. Who keeps commitments to other people? Yeah. Are we as good for ourselves?
Oh, no.
Okay. Some people might be are, and that just falls into, we are all can be in different categories, so that's awesome. I know that I'm better at keeping a commitment to somebody else. I'll be honest. You know, I make sure my kids get on the school bus on time. I make sure I pack their lunch. I make sure this or that. But when it comes to ourselves, we very quickly let that go. We oh, that's okay. I said I was gonna do this, but it's fine. Okay, so deciding ahead of time, making a commitment ahead of time, and I'll explain this more. When you do that, you're using your thinking brain, okay? The part of your brain that is going to help you control. Okay, so here's a way that you can do this. Now, when I work with patients or clients, I'm not interested in you counting calories or points or weighing or measuring or, calculating your macros or eating, 2 grams of carbs a day. But what I do think is a good tip is taking a journal, going to Target, buying the most beautiful journal you can find, one that makes you happy, buy a pretty pen. And in the morning, and this is very key, because in the morning, your resolve to have a good day is very high. Who has ever woken up in the morning and been like, it's gonna be a good day, I'm gonna do this, And then you get to work and you're like, donuts, There they are, shoot. So that's why, I'm not a donut person because I think, well, it's morning. I'm not gonna ruin my whole day. I just started this day. I'm not gonna phone it in. But if it were 9 o'clock at night and somebody brought in donuts, well, that would be a different story. Because your resolve just gets lower and lower, if you want to call it resolve or willpower. It gets lower as the day goes on. Okay, so you take your journal, you take 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, and you write down what you're going to eat during the day. Your 3 meals, or your 3 meals and your snack. If you know that you're going to have a holiday party and you want to go have a glass of wine or whatever, put that down. I don't care what it is, put it down. Make it specific. If you're going to be going out to lunch and you don't know what you're going to order, make a general statement. I'm going to order the healthiest salad on the menu. Write it down, be done with it. Close it, put it away. That is your commitment to yourself, okay? At the end of the day, if you want to come back and give yourself a little sticker or a little stamp or something when you've reached your goal, you can do that, okay? And I'm going to explain why this helps you and why this is important, okay? So the reason why is you want to avoid decision fatigue or analysis paralysis, okay? So, and I'm going to explain some of these other things, but every decision we make depletes our willpower. It depletes our resolve. Every single one, okay? Your brain can only make so many decisions during the day. It can only think about so many things before it starts getting tired. So making a firm decision frees up your brain for other things. And I don't know if you've heard of this, but for example, Steve Jobs with Apple, he wore the same thing to work every day. Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook, he wears the same thing to work every day. Same shirt, same pants, same shoes. Okay? I saw a quote from Barack Obama. It says, and by the way, when Barack Obama was in office, he either wore a gray suit or a blue suit. He didn't choose anything else. And his quote was, you need to focus on your decision-making energy. You need to routinize yourself. You can't go through the day distracted by trivia, okay? So the idea is you decide what you're going to do, done, moving on, and then the rest of the day, you're freed up to think about other things. How many times have you sat there and been like, well, I might eat the donut, I might not eat the donut, I'm going to eat the donut, I might not eat the donut, okay? And that starts to wear down your brain. Here's another example of kids and candy. How many of you have ever experienced or heard or seen a kid asking for candy in the candy aisle at the checkout at the grocery store, okay? Crying or begging for candy. Okay, so that annoys me. So before I had kids, I just thought, you know what, I'm just never going to give them a candy bar. Just never going to do it. It was a firm decision in my head that was something I was just never going to do. I mean, if you do it, that's fine. I don't care. For me, I just didn't want to do it. So when we go through the checkout aisle, my kids have never asked for a candy bar because I have never given them one. Not that they don't get treats, because they do. But I've never given them one in that scenario. It was a firm decision. They know that there's no either or. Maybe sometimes mom says yes, maybe sometimes she says no. Because if I did, then that would be what I was experiencing every single time. Can I get candy? Can I get candy? Last week you said yes. Well, today I'm saying no. Can I get candy? And it's this back and forth, and it's this decision fatigue. But when you're firm with your decision and you stick to it, then there's no back and forth. Okay, does that make sense, kind of?
Exactly.
So that's the thing. Not that my kids don't ask for a million other things, because they do, because they're kids and they can be annoying. So, okay. The second key to cravings is don't underestimate the power of the pause. Okay, so this is huge. I don't know if you have animals at home, but if you've ever noticed, this is an example, how a dog eats their dinner versus a cat. If you put the dog's bowl down, he just runs to the bowl, inhales the bowl, licks his lips, looks at you like, you gonna feed me? Because he doesn't even remember. A cat is a lot more, it takes its time, it pauses. It goes to the bowl, sniffs it, eats a piece, walks away, and it knows the bowl is always gonna be there. I'm not gonna take the bowl away. I can go and I can eat cat food whenever I want. So, pausing for a brief moment or longer is a powerful way to center yourself and realign your goals. Okay, so this is really big because of what we talked about earlier with the cortisol. So when you're feeling stressed, your stress hormone is high, you have to find a minute to bring it back down. Okay, you have to pause. We don't really pause a lot in our country. So you have to bring it down. So let's all do something together, okay? We're gonna take a slow, deep breath together. By breathing in slow, that sends oxygen to your brain, and that tells your brain that you're okay, okay? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do this together. We're gonna breathe in slowly for five. We're gonna hold it for 2, and then we're gonna let it out. Ready? Go. I feel better. Okay, so that's a really powerful way, sending that oxygen to your brain and holding it there for a second so it can get there, and then letting it go, okay? Taking that breathing moment. So here's some